Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Today I want to be covering The Walking Dead, in particular the TV show. And in this particular episode I have my very special co-host, my chameleon, Clara. So everyone, this is Clara. She'll be joining me from time to time. This is a little late night treat for her because she's due to be in bed at the moment, but you know how it is. So today I want to talk about The Walking Dead Season 1 Episode 2, titled Guts. So first things first, Season 1 Episode 2 starts off with what I consider to be a rather odd and slightly creepy scene between Shane and Laurie. So Laurie goes out into the woods under the guise of picking mushrooms to eat, except it turns out that she doesn't actually go and pick mushrooms because she gets interrupted by a very stalkery and very sort of predator hunting down its prey type scene, where Shane sort of almost jump scares her, like Halloween style, you know, and puts his hand around his mouth and all that sort of stuff. And then they proceed to, shall we say, do a adult dance with each other. So yeah, they do that, and well, yeah, then we cut to the opening intro. So it's a little bit awkward for us as the viewers, especially in this scene, because she thinks that Rick is dead. He knows that he's left him to die. Shane knows that he's left Rick to die, but he's not actually confirmed anything, and we know that Rick is now alive and trying to find his wife. So it's a really sort of... Personally, I don't like Laurie as a character, especially in the TV show compared to the comics. She's a much better character in the comics. She's still annoying, but like she's much better in the comics compared to the TV show. So then obviously we skip to the title sequence after a very strange scene, and we cut to Rick being stuck in the tank, and we have this sort of whole him escaping the tank and him meeting Glenn for the first time, which is really, really sad, knowing where they end up. And he takes him up a building, round a couple of roofs, and then back down into another building, where he meets a group of survivors. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this group of survivors includes characters such as Morales, who we will get to see later, becoming a very not integral, but a very interesting point with regards to the Saviours. We also meet T-Dog, who is probably one of the most underrated characters from the early seasons. We also meet Merle, who is Daryl's much more extreme brother, who is very, very rude. So there's that. And then there's Andrea, who, such wasted potential, who ended up being a lot of wasted potential in the TV show at least. And we also meet Jackie, who, she's not really important. She sort of mopes around in the background for a bit, then dies at the end of season 1. So, yeah. But there's a lot of tension between the group, because obviously, you know, yes, they've just saved Rick, but he's just rang the dinner bell with guns for everyone else. they're trapped in this building, and then you've got Merle up top firing shots off. So there's that. And then we get to the whole conflict between T-Dog and Merle. And Merle is being extremely racist, and then Rick comes along and just bosh handcuffs him to the roof, which becomes very important later on, because obviously, as we all know, spoiler alert I guess, he stays there. He ends up being left there, but more on that later. So they start devising a plan on how to get out. That's right, go to sleep, sweetie. Sorry, if any of you know, having a pet, it's a bedtime, bless her, she's sleepy. So anyway, they discuss ways to get out, and Jackie's like, I used to be an architect, a lot of these have sewage pipes, and there's a whole thing about that. It doesn't work. There are seeds planted for Rick and Andrea as a couple. She's like, you a cop? And he's like, well, yeah. And she's like, you're not gonna arrest me for stealing this for my sister, who is back at the camp with Rick's wife, but he doesn't know that yet. And he's like, yeah, sure, take it. I think stealing stuff isn't really that important these days, especially jewelry. So they have a little talk, and then someone comes up with the ideas of guts. And basically, they take this guy in off the street, and they gut him, and they smear guts over Glenn and Rick, and they send them out. Now, Rick notes that this guy, he notes his name, Wayne Dunlap, and he says, if I ever get back to my family, I'm going to tell them about Wayne. I don't think we actually did see him on screen tell them about Wayne, which was hashtag justice for Wayne, I guess. But they end up going out, and they're walking slowly, and they're making it through. There is a brief scene as well, cut in between this, with T-Dog trying to make radio back to camp, but they can't get anything. And then, just as they nearly make it to the fence, it starts to rain, and the zombies quite literally start to run at them. But we don't talk about that, because we changed showrunners, and the zombies were never fast again. So they start to run, and they get over the fence. It's all good. And Rick takes the truck. Glenn takes a Dodge Challenger, I think it's called, a red sports car, which, funnily enough, also made an appearance in Breaking Bad. So it's the same car that I think Walter bought for his son. So that's a little, the more you know. And then they go back for the rest, and T-Dog goes back for Merle, but he drops the key down a ventilation shaft, and he's just like, sorry bro, I'll lock the door for you behind me, and we'll come back for you. And then he runs off, and that's pretty much the episode. The glass breaks on the front doors. They make it all the way through. They start making it upstairs, and everyone else makes it out alive. So, where does this episode leave us? Well, first of all, it played the guts trick, which did end up working, but it also leaves a lot of plot holes, right? Like, why didn't they just wear this constantly and just be basically immune for the entirety of the show? But, so this episode has its ups and downs, but I'd say it's a big up for introducing us to the character and also introducing us to this world. And thinking, well, actually, these people, they did have names, they had a life, but of course we don't really see much of that, especially in the later seasons. It's just see zombie, kill zombie, see lots of zombies, get my machine gun out with a surprising amount of ammo. So, you know, it's nice to see that back in those early days, they still had a memory of who these people were. Not only that, but it sets up a lot of plot lines for the rest of the season and the next couple of seasons, with things like Merle and Shane. You know, these people do end up becoming sort of not long-running major villain. Well, I guess in Shane's case, but like they do become integral parts to the story. So it sets all of that up. But I think also this episode in particular shows us that actually you run into a group of survivors and they're not always going to try and kill you. A lot of the time, especially later on, they do. But in those early days, it showcases that perfect balance of who the hell is this guy that you've risked our lives to save, and we've still got our humanity. So, just a little parting thought for you. You know, what would you do? If you saw someone crawling into a tank, would you help them? Okay, a bit of a bad analogy, but even so, like, if you were to be in Glenn's shoes, would you have helped Rick? That's all for me. Let me know what you think in the comments, and obviously, as always, I will be hopefully making more content to do with the Walking Dead TV show and the Walking Dead comics and expanded media. So I will be doing a lot of that. Other than that, occasionally, maybe once or twice a week, I'll do a video on Doctor Who or other comics. You know, Batman, Green Lantern, Superman, Iron Man. There's a great one that I would love to cover at some point called World Tree, and The Boys as well. And there's also standalone stories like Flashpoint, Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies, honestly, I haven't finished all of it yet, but it's written by Robert Kirkman, so you know it's cooking. So I will catch you guys in the next one.